Hello and thank you for joining your session on the client portal today. We're going to spend the next hour or so just going through what you can expect to see. That will be from an advisor or administrator's point of view and also from a customer's perspective. So when the client logs onto the system, you will see the same emails that they receive and the screens that they will access as well. So on your screen at the moment, you can see a slide which has got some bullet points over on the right. The first one being that the portal was first launched back in 2020. It was around the middle of the year, and a group of people were asked to pilot and test that to make sure that it works as expected and it's got all the functionality that the advisors wanted to see. There was lots of feedback that came out of that. That includes some staff members, but also all of the people that were included on the pilot firms. They gave ideas and feedback to the IT development team, and enhancements were made, as you can see in the second bullet point, to make changes to the system, which is what you'll see today. That being said, it is the same as with anything in Toolbox. If you want to make further suggestions and give further feedback and just send in any ideas that you have, please feel free to do so, because as with anything in Toolbox, we're always looking to develop it. It is owned and designed by us, so we can make those changes. We can't promise that we can do everything or how quickly we can do everything, but we will listen to your feedback and do what we can to make it into the best system possible. The client portal itself, it was designed with the client and the advisor in mind. It's accessible by Toolbox for yourself as the advisors, so you don't need to remember an extra password or an additional logon. You literally just click a link and you're logged in. You can communicate live with your clients, so if you're both online at the same time, it is like an instant chat. And you can also send documents and receive documents through the portal itself. Obviously, it's completely secure as well. For yourself, you're logging in through Toolbox, so you've got your two-factor authentication to get into Toolbox, but you also have the same for the client, and they will have Google two-factor authentication to log in. The last bullet point on there is just going through the fact that it is allowing the client to complete a mini fact find. It is quite a condensed fact find at the moment, but it is being worked on and being developed. And what that will do is allow the client to go in and complete a fact find of their choice, so they can go in and just fill in as much detail as they want to, and then that information will be sent across to you to validate as the advisor. And then if you're happy with that information, you can send that into Toolbox at the click of a button, and you literally just press the button and the details then are instantly within Toolbox for you. And that will update your client main details page and also your fact find. So why would you want to use the portal, or why would clients want to use the portal? Starting off in the bottom left, the benefits, some of the benefits anyway for the advisors, is the fact that it opens up another method of communication. So it means that like communication is key with your clients anyway, but it means that they can get in touch with you easily. And there's just that one method of communication as well then, rather than having lots of different messages on lots of different channels. It does also streamline the transfer of the data and the documents that they need to send you, and any documents that you want to send to them as well. As I mentioned just, it is the fact that you've got one system for doing everything, rather than some people will be using WhatsApp, some will use Facebook Messenger, some will send text, some will send things in post. So it does just streamline that, and it also saves you time because the documents are all being transferred instantly. There's no need to wait in for the post to come through to receive information. And all of that information then can go straight into Toolbox itself. So it means that everything's linked up and the two systems are talking to each other. And so it will save you a lot of time. And last but not least, it is a branded experience. So all of the screens that you'll see, they are branded currently to a particular firm within the network, but that is just for demonstration purposes. And what you will see when we go through is how to brand it, how to set your own colour scheme and your own logo on there as well. The benefits over on the top right for the clients is the security of their data being the main one. So as I've mentioned, it's two-factor authentication, and that's through Google for the clients to log on to, which means that anything they send to you through there is completely secure. And then they will also have that audit trail, so they can refer back to a conversation they've had with you or see any documents that have been sent very easily, just logging back into the portal and accessing that information. As I say, what we said with the advisors, communication's key. It does open up that extra communication method, and they can easily get in touch with you. They can see whether you're online on the portal, and you can see whether they're online, and you can have that instant communication as well. And the last one on there is the fact that it's fully online. especially at the moment, there's more demand for online services. So that is the reason why the portal was sort of designed as well, to make sure that you can get in touch with your client whenever you need to, and they can get in touch with you. And it's sort of wherever they've got internet connection, so they can be at their local coffee shop when we can get out and about again, and they can log on and they connect with you at any point. So it's nice and easy to connect with your customer. And the last slide on here is what we've got coming soon. So at the end of January, we've got the ability for multiple firm users to be interacting on the same chat thread. So just to clarify that a little bit, at the moment, we have the ability for an administrator to send an invite and a message and send any documents to a customer and through to your clients. So that will happen in one chat thread. And then for the advisor to do the same, it will be a second chat thread. So the client themselves will have two messages, almost like if you're using Outlook, they will have two messages come through, one from the administrator and one from the advisor. At the end of January, when the update goes through, there will be the ability for people to all join in the same conversation. So rather than having two messages for the client to view and respond to them individually, everybody will be involved in the same chat. There will also be a new budget planner to capture data within the fact find, and there will also be the ability to switch on or off areas of the fact find as you wish, really. So you can choose to have a full fact find on there for them to fill in absolutely everything, or you can reduce it if you only want to ask them certain questions. You can choose to turn that on and off as you wish, and that will be the end of January. Those things will be ready to go. The one on the right hand side there, we've got some things that are happening after the end of Jan. There's no set time frame for these to be added in, and these are just some high level sections that we've had sent in from the IT development team. There will be more going ahead than that as well, but those are the main ones we wanted to highlight. So liabilities and credit sections being added to the fact find, a medical questionnaire being added, and enhancements to allow you to go straight for sourcing and quoting straight through from the information that's been added to the portal alone. Obviously, that will be dependent on how much the client fills in and if you've got sections of the fact find turned on or off. But if you was to have them all turned on and the client fills in all of the information on there, then you will be able to eventually, when that part of the system gets updated, be able to go straight through for sourcing. And then, as I mentioned at the very beginning, we always ask for feedback, development ideas from you. So as you start using it, please let us know if you've got any ideas, suggestions, or any problems with it as such, because we'll always look into developing the system further. So that's the end of the slides. We're going to flick over to Toolbox itself, and we're going to go through how you set up things on the Toolbox system. So the first thing you want to do is set the branding for your firm. And branding wise, you will need to set the branding, the person that will need to set the branding will be the person who has access to the branch tab. That will be either a full level administrator or firm principal. So they can, as long as you've got the branch tab, on the bottom of the page, there is a section called a launch portal. So that will be a brand new tile for anybody that hasn't used the portal before. And then in the top corner, you can see there are notifications there. So we can see it has been used before because it's been used for demonstrations, but for the first time using it, it will be blank. And as you start using it, you'll see notifications pop up on there, so you know people have sent you documents or sent you messages through the system. But the first thing we need to do is, as the firm principal or the administrator, is set the branding so that everybody in the firm can start using the portal. So we click on the launch portal tile and we would be taken into the portal system. So as I've mentioned, this is branded to a particular firm within the network just for demonstration purposes, but you can see all of the stuff that is on the screen now would be shown as white originally, so that you can set that branding as you wish. So the first time you log on, you'll be taken directly into this screen and you can choose your colour scheme. So you can click on the colour, select it from the colour wheel, or you can enter your hex code if you know what that is. So if you've got a website or you've got stuff from the stationers, generally you will have a hex code which references a colour, and you can literally just copy and paste that into there. If you're unsure about what each of these areas affect, there is a question mark next to each one of the colours, and it will tell you a brief overview of what that will affect, like what that colour will change. At the bottom of the page, there's also a preview button. So you can preview your colour changes before you make them live. If you're happy with them, you can then update them, and that will be live for everybody in the firm to use, and all the clients will then see that straight away. Across the top of the page there, we're currently in branding colours. There's also a branding logo, and you can go ahead and choose the file there by browsing your computer, find the file you want to upload. So that's normally going to be your logo, and you can then again preview it, or you can update it and attach it to the portal. It will upload into the top left corner of the screen, as you can see in the example there on there. Okay, so that's your branding set. Once you've updated both of those, it will be visible to anybody using the portal. That's for your clients and for your advisors. And you can come into here at any point and change that if you need to. So it's not sort of saying to you, well, you can't change it ever in the future, or it's set for a certain amount of time. Just come back into firm administration on the left-hand menu, and you can amend it whenever you need to. Once your branding's set, I'm just going to close that down. As I've mentioned, you can start inviting clients to use the portal. So to send an invitation to a client, this can be done by anybody who's got access to that client's information. So as long as they can see them on Toolbox, they can invite them to the portal. And that's through the individual client screen. They search for the client record or create the new client record. And then there's a button called Launch Portal, which you'll see in just a second. So you can do this for existing clients if you've got people that you want to send invites to, or as I've mentioned, you can create a new client record and go ahead and just invite them from scratch. So you can use add new client, fill in their detail, and then send them an invitation. So I'm going to go into an existing client that we used for an earlier demo. You can see on here they have their information filled in, such as their name and their address as a minimum. And then they also need to have an email address entered so that the invitation for the portal can be sent to that email address. So please be wary when typing that email in that it is the correct one, because otherwise it will be trying to send the email to potentially an incorrect email address on there, or potentially the wrong person completely. So enter an email address for the client, and then when you press the Launch Portal button at the top of the page, it will send an email invite to that customer to ask them to register for the portal. I'm just going to go ahead and create a new client record, just because for the demonstration purposes we need to do it as a new person so that it will show you the logon process. And I'm literally going to enter the basic details, just their name, their address, and their email address, as I've just mentioned, because that's important to send the link to. Okay, so that's our client created. I'm just going to press the create button at the top here. If, of course, you have more information that you want to fill in at that point for the client, so you've got information about their occupation, their partner, you can add all of that sort of information in. I'm going to press create just to click create this one client right now, and that saves the client record. So there's nothing new so far, other than the fact we entered the email address early on, if you don't already do that, and there is now a launch portal button at the top of the screen. But other than that, we're just creating a new client as usual. We then press Launch Portal, as I mentioned. That will give us a notification at the top of the page to ask us if we're happy to send an email invitation to the customer. That will only send that once, so the invitation will go through once. It won't happen every single time you click it. And if you're happy with it doing that, then I press OK. And that will load the portal screen. So once we're in the portal, we're logged on as the advisor. You'll see here at the top of the page in this settings section, we have firstly some details about who we're logged on as, so we can see our name, our job role, and our contact number. We also have the option here to upload a profile picture of our choice. I would recommend doing that because your client will see that when they log on. They'll see a friendly face, hopefully somebody they recognise, and it's an extra level of security as well because they know who they're dealing with. If you choose not to do that, it is perfectly fine, but they will see an image like you see down here with the little person icon. So I do recommend popping your picture in there as well. You can then set your settings up so that you choose how often you receive emails. So what will happen is every single time something changes within the portal, you will get a notification to say that something has changed. So whether they've sent you a message, they've sent you a document, or they've sent you something on the fact find, you will get an email notification to let you know that. If that's too much for you, if it becomes too much and you're getting lots of emails, then you can turn off the instant notifications, set that to no, and then just choose how often you want to receive them. So do you want to receive them hourly, daily, weekly, or do you want to turn it off completely? You can amend this whenever you need to. So I'd recommend keeping it on as instant or at very least hourly to begin with, so that you are receiving constant notifications and reminders to say that your clients are sending you information. However, obviously, when you get more people using the system, you're going to have lots of notifications coming through. If they've sent you 10 messages, you're going to get 10 email notifications. And you don't want your email inbox getting full up with lots of portal notifications. So you can then decrease this. So you can change instant notifications to no, and then change this to your choice. As I've said, you don't really want to turn it off completely unless you are very much in the habit of coming into the portal regularly and checking for notifications. You will see that on your home page as well on the tile. So when you go onto the home page, as long as you're in the habit of checking that tile to see if there's anything you need to action, then by all means go ahead and turn it off so you don't get the emails. But if you're not in the habit of doing that, I'd keep this switched on just so that you're getting that extra notification and your client's not sent you a message that you're then in turn ignoring because you've not received any notification it's been sent. Okay, so then at the bottom of the page, there is the option to see all of the clients within the portal system. As I mentioned, this one has been used for previous demonstrations, so there's already a list of people linked in the portal system. I'm just going to flick through to the client that I've just created, which here was called Portal Training 8. We can see that they have been invited, and we have the option to resend the invite. So the invitation that's sent to them will last 48 hours, then the link within that will expire. And that's for security purposes, so that if their email address was hacked and the hacker gained access to that link, they could potentially register on their behalf, send documents to you, take out business with you, or receive documents that you've sent and they're obviously personal to that particular client. So it's to stop that sort of thing from happening. So it will last 48 hours, it will expire, and then if you need to, you can resend the invite from here. The same goes for if they've lost the email or if they've deleted it or it's gone in their junk and they can't find it, you can resend it at any point if you need to. As soon as they accept the invitation, their status here will change to active, as you can see on the one just below. So you'll be able to see that they've accepted the invitation from there, but you will also get the notification to say that much as well. Let me just get up on screen the email that they'll receive. So this is the email that the client will receive. They will come through from an email address, which will either be the Toolbox email address that you can see on your screen there, or noreply@myclientportal.com. So it will be an automated email. It won't come from yourselves. Just bear that in mind. It will be addressed, the subject header will say client portal registration, and it will be addressed to them by their name, by their full name. So that's the name that we set up for the client when we created them. It will then have your name here in bold, and it will have the firm's name in bold again. It will then give them a bit of an overview as to what the portal is, so what they can expect, and the link to register is just underneath. It does also give them the note there to say it's only valid for 48 hours, and your name will be shown there for them to contact if they need a new link generating. They'll click on that link, they'll be taken to the registration page, and they can enter a password of their choice. Once they start typing their password in, they will be asked to make sure it fits the security profile. So it needs to be within a certain length, have uppercase, lowercase, etc. So I'm just going to type in a password and press the confirm button. So we type it in twice as you do with most registrations and press confirm. We get notification at the top of the page to say it's been set successfully, and it then asks the client to log on with the details that they typed in. So I'm just going to grab the email address that I typed in onto Toolbox. Obviously, the client will know their email address, so they can just type their own email address in there. And the password that we've just entered, I'm going to type in underneath. And then I'm going to press login. It takes us to a screen with a QR code on, And this is the first time that the client is logging in, so they'll only need to do this once. What they'll see at the top of the page is the image that they need to scan. So if anybody's used two-factor authentication before, hopefully that will look familiar. Just waiting for the image to load. And then what they will do is they will scan that code on the Google Authenticator app on their phone, or they can use the extension on Google Chrome. That did take a little while to load the picture then, but normally it will load straight away. So don't worry about that. The client will see that straight away when the page loads. And there is some information underneath, some guidance as to how to complete the authentication registration. We do have full guidance on Training Matters if you wanted to send the client any guidance as well. So there's a client-facing guide, but there's also an advisor-facing guide as well. So one for yourself to use if you're stuck on anything on the portal, but one for the clients to use for registration and how to use the portal in general. Okay, so as I've mentioned, they've got two options to scan that code. They can download the Google Authenticator app on their phone or their tablet. So they go onto the Play Store or the App Store. They download the Google Authenticator app. It is literally called Google Authenticator. And once they've downloaded it, they give permission for their camera access. And then they will literally hold their phone up to the screen, following the on-screen instructions, and then they will literally scan that code with their camera. That will instantly create them a 6-digit code on the app, and they will be able to paste that 6-digit code into the bottom of the page just down here. If they want to use the Google Chrome extension, they can go on to Google, they can search for Google Authenticator app, and then they will be able to download the extension onto Chrome. It's a website called the Chrome Store. And what they will do then is that in the top corner, they will have a jigsaw puzzle. And if they click into that, they will see the extension called Authenticator. This will load blank for them, so I'm just going to delete this so you can see what it looks like starting from scratch. So it will load like this, completely blank, and then they will have the option over on the top right here. There's a box with a line through it. They hover over that, it says scan QR code, and then literally the same as what they do with their phone, but they're just selecting an area of the screen that has got the QR code to scan, and they drag and drop with their mouse. It will then give them confirmation that it has been added, and it will save that into the Authenticator app. So at that point, it will also give them a 6-digit code. So when they go back into the jigsaw piece, click on Authenticator, they will be given the code just there. What you'll see in the bottom corner, and this is on both the phone and, so if you're on the app on your phone and also on the extension, as you can see, there is a little egg timer at the bottom corner. That's going down every 30 seconds to give us a new code. So that again is for security purposes. If somebody was trying to access this on behalf of the client, they would need the email address for the client, the password that the client chose, and the 6-digit code, which expires every 30 seconds. So it's really secure for the client's data. So you can see when that got down to the bottom of the egg timer, some of you will have noticed that it did turn red, and that's because it's about to expire. So it's just a bit of a warning there to give you a chance to wait for the new code. But if the client is using their phone, they will get the code up on the screen and they will type the code into this box just down here. If they're using the extension like we are at the moment, they can click on that link. So I'll just wait for the new code to appear. Click on that, it copies it automatically and then paste it into the passcode section. We're going to press continue, and that logs us in as the client into the portal. We get firstly asked about cookies. Do we confirm and agree to our cookies? I'm going to accept that. Apologies for that, they didn't load properly the first time, but they will be taken straight into this screen here, which will have, as you can see, very similar information for what we saw on the advisors page as well. So it will have their name here, so the client's name. They'll have the option to upload their choice of picture, and they also will have their option to choose their settings exactly the same as you did. The only difference here really is I'd recommend the client keeps their notifications on as instant so that they know every time you've got in touch with them. If they turn them off, if they don't log on to the portal, they've got no way of knowing that you've sent them a message or asked them to complete their fact find. So just bear that in mind. I'd recommend the client keeping that as instant. At the bottom of the page, then we have the details of who sent the invite to them. So we can see down here, we've got the advisor's name, the advisor's role, and if the advisor had set a picture up, then they would see the picture of the advisor just down here. So just make sure they recognise this person. They can see they have been invited and they have an accept button just next to that. You may need to guide them to press that accept button because they may not know that they need to press that in order to connect with you. But all this is saying, are you happy to connect with this person through the portal? Do you recognise them? If they do, they can accept that. Notification appears in the top right to say it has been accepted successfully, and you can see the status here is now active. So the client will likely close that page down at that point, but they can go ahead and get in touch with you. They can start filling in their fact find screens. But what I'm going to do just for the demonstration today is close that down so that we can see what it looks like if we're going back into it now. I'm also going to close it down from the advisor's point of view. Okay, so once the invitation has been accepted, the client has clicked the accept button, a notification will be sent through to the advisor or the administrator, depending on who sent the invitation, and they will have the notification to say the invitation's been accepted. You can now connect with them via the portal. Again, you've got your options to go into the portal from either the individual client screen or from the home page with the launch portal tile. I'm going to click into it from the individual client. So I find my client and on the right-hand side, press launch portal. It asks me again, am I happy to continue? It won't send a separate invitation at that point because they've already accepted it. It's just a warning there for the first time. And then we are logging back into the portal straight into that client record. So we can see the client's name, we can see the client number, and if they had updated a picture, we would see their image just then. We can then start a chat with that particular client. So we can enter a subject of our choice just here. So I'm just going to enter hello and press add, and that starts off a chat thread for me. So at that point, we've not sent a message, so the client won't receive a notification just yet. That is literally just your subject header line. If we scroll down, we then have the option here under text to enter a message. So we might say, welcome to the portal, thanks for registering. You can choose what you want to write on there. So at that point, now we've sent the message, the client will receive the email notification to say you've sent them a message, and it will have a link for them to access the portal again. You can also send them a file, just switching the toggle over here to file and choose the type of file it is that you're sending, browse your computer and send that across. I'm just going to grab the email that the client will have received at that point. So here is the email that the client will receive to say that they've got a new notification. So they've had their registration link, that will only happen once. They've gone on and accepted the registration, and now they have notification reminders coming through. So again, it comes from the automated email address, just bear that in mind. And then it will say portal outstanding notifications. It will be addressed directly to them, and it will tell them how many notifications they have within the portal. They then have a link down here to click to access the portal again. So they will click on that link and they will be taken to a login screen. This particular screen, just to bear in mind, is not branded. So it will look like this for every single client accessing the system. But once they're logged on, they will see all the branding that you've set. But the logon screen itself isn't branded. So I'm just going to get the email address again to log in with. Pop that into here. The client would obviously just type in their own email address and the password that they set earlier on. And this time around, they're not being asked to scan the QR code. They're literally just being asked to enter a passcode. And that passcode they will get from the Google Authenticator app or the extension, depending on which one they've used originally. If they're using the app on their phone, they just need to open the app and they will see automatically a 6-digit code is there ready to use, and that code will rotate every 30 seconds. So all they need to do is copy the code into here and press continue. If they're using the extension on Chrome, they use the jigsaw piece at the top, press the Authenticator extension, and you'll see we've got the 6-digit code. And once that's a new code generated, just because I'm not quick enough to copy it, click on that, copy it, paste it into here and continue. So now the client is logged back into the portal. So it is quite quick and easy. The first part of it with scanning the QR code, and they might need some extra support with. As I've mentioned, we do have guidance and support documents for that, or you may prefer to help them and just talk them through it. Just bear that in mind though, that they will need to scan the QR code the very first time, and the second time around it will just be a case of opening the app or opening the extension and copying the 6-digit code into them. Now we're logged on, we can see who has connected with us. So we can see the advisor's name here, which is Rachael Green. There is a green dot next to their name because they are currently online. I've got their account open on the other tab at the top of the page. So we can see they're online. So if I was to send them a message, I would expect a response pretty quickly because they're currently on the system. We can also see that we've received a message because in this messages section, there is a number 1 in brackets, which means that there's a message in there that's not yet been dealt with. But we will also see in the top right of the screen a little alert bell, and there's a number 2 in the top corner. If we click into that, we can see all of the notifications that have come through. The first one on there is saying that they've sent us an invite. We already accepted the invite earlier on, so we can delete that particular notification. And the next one here says that they've sent us a new message, so we can click on there to read it. You can click on either one, so messages here or on the notification panel. They'll take you to the same page. So then the client will see the message that the advisor has sent through. So they will see the subject line and they will see any messages. The RG here stands for Rachael Green, so that is the initials of the advisor who has sent the message. They can then send a message back to you, so they scroll down, they see the same screen that you're seeing as the advisor, and they can enter their response to you just down here. They have the same options as well to send a file, so we'll see that in just a second. I'm going to pop the client on the right hand side of the page and the advisor on the left. Okay, so we've got the advisor here on the left and we have the client on the right. Very similar screens. I'm just going to reply on the right hand side on the client side saying hello. You can see that appears then on the left hand side on the advisor screen pretty much straight away. It comes through from the initials PT. PT is the initials of the client that we created earlier because they were called portal training. So PT is the initials. The initials for yourself on your screen will show as a Y. The same for the client. Any messages they send will show as a Y, and that just stands for you. So you then might then ask them to send their ID. And obviously you'll probably word it better than what I've just written in there, but you've sent them a message saying please send ID. It's appeared on their screen instantly. So you might want to give them some instructions as how to do that. You might need to guide them down to the file section here at the bottom, but they would go onto the file section. They would find the document that they want to attach. So they would say their payslip, passport, driving license or other. In this case, it's ID. So I'm going to say that I'm sending my driving license, and then I choose where I want to find that file from. So I can drag and drop multiple files into here, which I'll show you in just a second, but I can browse my computer, find the document that I want to upload, which in this case is ID, and then press send. That appears in the chat thread, and on the left hand side in the advisor thread, you can see that document has sent through straight away. If I wanted to send multiple documents, I can go into the browse option on the right hand side as the client, and I can select up to 5 documents in one go. So you can see I've just selected them, press on open, and then all those documents are listed here. And I can just select what type of document each one of those are. I'm not going to send those across. It was just to show you as a demonstration that they can send 5 documents in one go. As for yourself sending documents to the client, it works exactly the same way. You would come into your file section, you would choose the document type, and you would browse your computer to find the documents you want to send. So obviously in that example that I gave over here, it's unlikely that the client would be sending the disclosure to you. It would be the other way around. So you can use the portal to send them things like that if you want to. Okay, so once the client has sent the documents across to you, you can see they appear in the chat thread. You'll also see at the top of the page, there is a, just underneath the subject, there's a section where all of the documents will be held when they're sent through as attachments. So similar to Outlook, you'll have your subject header, all of the attachments that are sent within that particular chat, and then all of your chat conversation. And all that means is that if you do have a long chat and you're sending multiple documents through, you don't have to search through the full chat thread to find those documents and download them. they will just be saved at the top of the page, ready for you to access. You'll have a couple of options with the documents that are sent. So in the actual chat thread itself, you'll see you've got a link here to access the ID. So you can open that, download it, view it on your computer, save it externally if you want to, but that will show you the actual document itself. I'd recommend downloading it even, and having a look at what the client has sent, just to make sure it's the right document and you're not accidentally saving the incorrect thing to Toolbox. If they have sent you the wrong document, there is the option to delete it, so that removes it from the chat thread. And you can do exactly the same two things in the section up here where the attachments are held. So you've got the option to download the document and view it, and then you've got the option to delete it. The next one along is a up arrow. It's quite small on there, but it's a little bit bigger down here within the chat thread itself. It's a little up arrow, and if you hover over that, it will say download to Toolbox, or upload to Toolbox as it says. So if you click onto that, you have the option to choose where in Toolbox you want to upload it to. Before I come on to that, I would also mention on the subject header, some of you will have spotted it already, there is a similar option here to upload the chat transcript to Toolbox. So if you click that, it will take all of this conversation into a PDF file, and it will take that into the area of Toolbox that you select. The one just next to that will download a PDF copy of the chat, and it will just save it locally on your computer. So you choose where you want to save it, and then it will save it locally for you. If you want to send that to your client, then you can do by all means, but they will have access to the chat by the portal anyway. So you've got the options for the whole chat transcript or each individual document, either from down here or from the attachments section. So the first thing I'm going to do is save the chat transcript, just to show you how that looks. So I'm going to click on the up arrow here to save it straight to Toolbox. It gives me an option of where do I want to upload it into Toolbox. And I'm going to select I want to put it into the diary and notes section. You do have the option to send it into the workflow, the compliance summary, if you want to, so you can choose either one. So diary and notes is what I've selected. I'm going to press upload, and I'll get a notification appear to say that it has uploaded successfully. So if I pop into Toolbox now, on the left-hand side of the page, so I'm still in the individual client screen, and on the left-hand side, there is a section called Diary Tasks and Notes. In there, you will see a section that has just uploaded called Client Portal Files. You can see it's regarding this particular client, and if I click on View, I will see the chat transcript as a PDF. I can download that from the portal as many times as I want. So at the moment, it would just have the few messages that have been sent. But when you get to the end of the conversation, you might want to save it and upload it at that stage. So to upload it again, just press the same button, choose where to upload it, and you'll have a fresh copy of that chat saved. So as far as documents are concerned, to save those to Toolbox, you have the option, as I mentioned, to view the document itself by clicking the name of the document and to double check that it is the right thing. If you then want to save that into Toolbox, you can press the little up arrow one from either the attachment section or the chat thread itself, and you get taken to a similar screen. Choose the area of Toolbox you want to send that to. In this instance, I'm going to choose the workflow, the compliance summary, and then it asks me which workflow do I want to upload it to. At the moment, I don't have any workflows created because it's a new client, so it's not giving me any options. So I'm going to go back into Toolbox, and I'm going to create a workflow. And I'm going to do that very, very quickly. I'm going to go and do a mortgage workflow. Press on Add, takes me into the compliance summary, which is a blank compliance summary. As you can see, there's nothing already attached. Back into the portal, if I just refresh the page and click to upload that into Toolbox and choose the compliance summary, you can see now I've got the option to select that workflow that I've just created, which was called Test. Once I've selected my workflow, it then says to me which compliance section do I want to upload it to, so which area of that compliance summary is the appropriate area. In that case, it was the ID that was sent to me, so I can attach that directly into the ID check section. Please bear in mind, nothing has changed compliance-wise for certifying documents. Continue certifying as normal. The way that it's just a way to gather the documents, so you'll still need to certify as you normally would. Press on upload, that will go into Toolbox straight away. You can see I get a notification, and then on Toolbox, if I just refresh the page, you can see the valid ID check is now showing in that section there, and I can download the document as I need to. I can see when it was created and who by, and if I need to amend the name, I can do so within the actions button on the compliance summary. So next to each of the documents you upload, you'll get an actions button. Click on that, click rename if you do need to change the name of anything. Okay, so that's our document uploaded to Toolbox and our chat transcript uploaded to Toolbox. You don't have to upload things straight into Toolbox. They can sit within the portal. And obviously, if they're not the right document, you can choose to delete them and not upload them. So for certification of your documents, you might want to click on the name of it, download it, certify it, and then upload it to Toolbox manually. But it's just a way of the client sending you that document securely initially. And obviously for ID, you'll want to get that certified as normal, but other documents you may not need to certify. So once you've got that, the document from them, you've started filling in their fact find, you might want them to pre-fill some of their fact find for you. So again, you will send them a message to say, please complete your fact find. And you won't want to call it fact find unless you're going to guide them as to where to go. The reason why I wouldn't call it fact find is because on their screen, it's actually called your profile. So obviously there's nothing on there for them to reference the word fact find. They might not be familiar with what that means. So you might want to call it your profile so they can find it easily. So on here, I'm going to just write, please complete your profile. That message sends from the advisor over on the left over onto the client on the right. You can see that appears almost instantly again. And then if I expand this screen and make it full screen, you can see the left-hand menu here, and we've got your profile. So that's why I've said if you call it your profile for your client, it'll be easier for them to find because it'll be clear on the left. You might also want to say use the left-hand menu. In your profile, they have 4 sections currently to complete: personal, employment, residential and income. In those sections, they will have a brief set of questions that they can complete and answer and fill in their personal information. For today's demo, I'm just going to update the personal details, just because we don't have time to go through absolutely everything, but you will see how it works as an example. As I mentioned at the beginning when we went through the slides, it is being changed and updated. End of January, you'll have the full budget planner in here, and then going forward, you'll have even more sections being added. And you can tailor this at the end of Jan to say that you only want certain sections to show, or you can have the whole thing showing on there. So personal details, I'm going to click on update. We can see at the moment this progress dial is set to 0 because we've not yet completed anything. So we press on update and we can fill in our details. So remember, we're logged on as the client at the moment. So this is the client going in and filling in their own information. They can overtype anything that you've typed in. So for example, if you've misspelled their name, they can overtype what you've currently typed into Toolbox. But if you had already entered this information, then they would see what you've already entered. So the first name sorted, surname is sorted, they're both correct. Date of birth is blank, so we're going to go ahead and enter that in. So I'm just going to choose a date at random. I'm going to select that they are a male. I'm going to select that they are single, and I'm going to set their nationality as UK and also their country of residence as UK. So you can see it's very quick for the client to fill in, especially because they'll have all their details to hand. They can go ahead and fill in as much information as you want them to. So you might want to say to them, please make sure you fill in all of the areas on the personal details screen or on your income screen, because you specifically need detailed information on that area. But they don't have to, it's not mandatory. They can submit that with as little information as they want to. So on here, I'm going to press submit. It saves that. You can see it says successfully updated. The dial here has changed to say it's 78% completed. They can go ahead and update that again if they want to. They can click back into update and amend those details if they want to, or add extra information in, but they don't have to get 100% on every single one. Going through to residential details, as I say, I'm not going to fill them in, but just to show you what the screens look like. They can enter their address. They've got the option to search for their address using the postcode validation. They enter when they moved in, how long have they lived there. Oh, apologies, I just clicked the wrong button there. And then employment, again, similar things. How long have they been employed for? What is their employer's details? And last but not least, income, which, as I've mentioned, they'll have the full budget planner going forward, but this is just asking for their income information. Okay, so once they've filled in their fact find information, and it doesn't have to be the full amount as I've just mentioned, the advisor will get a notification sent to them either via email or by the Toolbox homepage tile button to say that the customer has filled in their details, and you can go ahead and, as the advisor, review that information. So at that point, the client will probably close down the page. They've done what they've been asked to do, and there's not any more for them to fill in at that point. They may come back into messaging over here on the left and then send you a quick message to just say, yes, it's been fully filled in. You can see they've got the subject header, they can see a preview, and they can see all of the documents that have been sent. But if they click on the subject header, they're back in the chat thread, and they can confirm to you that they have completed the profile section as you've requested, but you will get a notification of that anyway. So then it's likely that they'll log out. So I'm just going to close that page. I'm also going to close the page as the advisor as well, because the advisor wouldn't have been sat online the whole time while that client's filling in the fact find. Well, it's unlikely that they would be anyway. So it's likely that they would have carried on doing whatever they would be doing in their day, adding extra clients onto Toolbox, speaking to other people, sourcing, etc. So it's likely that they've clicked off this screen. So we'll start off from scratch on the home page. They receive a notification either by email, or they get the notification down here on the tile to say that the customer has filled in the fact find details. So then they can either come down onto the tile down here, and they can click on Launch Portal, they can search for the client, and they can access the information that they've entered. Or if they prefer, they can go through individual client, they can find the client record. So I've just got the recent client here, and they can press the Launch Portal button in the top right corner. Confirm that I'm happy to proceed. And then it takes me into their information on there. So I can see I've got the previous messages that have been sent. I can start a new chat thread with them if I want to up here. So I might want to keep this chat thread for mortgage discussion, but this one, I might want to create a new one for protection. It's up to you how you want to work it. If you want to access the existing one, you can just click on the existing chat thread subject. So what you'll see here is you've got two different ways to access the fact find information. You've got fact find review on the left-hand side of the page. That will take you to a screen where you can see all of the clients that have filled in their fact find information, and it's available to review. Or if you prefer, you can go up to the notifications at the top of the page, click on the little notification bell, scroll through your notifications. Hopefully you won't have as many as we do in here, but you can see it's got the client's name, Portal Training 8, has updated their personal details, please review. So we can click onto that, and it takes us straight into that particular client's personal details that they've amended. And we can see here all of the information that they typed in. So we can see date of birth has been amended, and next to that there is an option here, if I hover over that, to copy that to the Toolbox field. What that means is it's asking you to validate that information to make sure that's correct. So at the moment, this data is held in the portal alone. It's not saving into Toolbox at the moment. If we click copy, this copy box here over on the right hand side, it then enters that information into what's called the Toolbox field. And then it's called the Toolbox field because once we've confirmed it at the bottom of the page, it will send that particular data into Toolbox itself, but it won't send it until you've copied it. So at the moment, this is the section that the client's filled in, and you copy it into the Toolbox field using the button, and then it will be the Toolbox field that will go into Toolbox when we press confirm. If you want to do that in bulk though, so say for example, you've got lots of different changes that the client has made, you don't want to have to go through each one of those and press copy on every single one individually. So just validate the information first, make sure it seems accurate, make sure they've not accidentally selected the wrong thing from the drop down or selected from the calendar the wrong date of birth, for example. But as long as all the information seems like it's accurate, you can go ahead at the top of the page and press copy all changes. And that will do all of those for you in one go. So rather than you pressing these 3 buttons individually to copy that data across, it will do that for you. So you can see that it's saved all of the information that the client filled in as accurate, And then at the bottom of the page, I have the option here to update Toolbox. So you can carry on and add extra information at that point if you want to. So you can manually type things in, or you can press the Update Toolbox button to send all of this information, which is what the client has sent you, that you've just validated is correct, into Toolbox at the click of that button. Again, you'll get a notification to confirm that that has successfully updated, and you'll be taken to a fact find summary, which will have all the sections of the fact find, and over on the right hand side of that, when it was updated, when it was reviewed, and the percentage of completion. So we can see the other areas have yet to be started. We might want to send a message to our client then to say, could you fill in the other areas? I can see you only filled in the personal details. And again, you might want to guide them as to how to do that. To get back into messaging, just press the messaging button on the left hand side and then find the message thread with that particular client. So you've got all of the clients linked to you here. You can search for them here, find their chat thread, and then just send that extra message to say, can you please complete the extra bit of the fact find? The client will then get a message from you and a email notification to say they've received a notification and then the link to log back into the portal. But just to show you where the fact find information has gone within Toolbox, so load up the Toolbox page again. Just going to refresh this page. And what we will see is on here, the client main details page. It will update the details that you see here. It does take a little while to come through on training, but on your systems, it will be pretty much straight away. So what we'll see is the date of birth in this case will be pre-filled, gender, nationality, I can't remember what else we filled in, but anything we've filled in on the previous screen within the portal itself will be pulled through into here and automatically updated. And the same goes for the fact find screens. So over on the fact find, in the personal details section, because that's the only section I've just filled in for demonstration, you will see the date of birth, the gender, the marital status, nationality, and country of residence have all been filled in for us based on the information that was entered into the portal. And as I mentioned, the main details will update. It just takes a little while to come through sometimes on training. So you will see that information also appear in there as well. Okay, so that is a whistle-stop tour on how the portal works, how the client will log on, how they'll register their account, and then how they'll access and send you documents and messages, and how you can get in touch with them as well. If I just go back into it from the home page just to show you as a bit of an overview, the homepage tile will have a number in the top corner to let you know any notifications, and you'll be able to launch the portal from there, which will log you straight in. And what you will see is a list of all of your clients that are linked to you through the portal. So it won't be every single client that you've got in Toolbox, it would just be those that have registered to use the portal. And you will see a list of their messages firstly, because we're in the messaging tab on the left. And if anybody has got a message that you haven't responded to, it will have a number in the brackets after the word messages. And if they are online as well, you will see a green circle next to their name. To go through any fact find information, you click on Fact Find Review on the left. And again, anybody who has completed their fact find for you, you will see their name on here. If you've got quite a lot, you can search for them and show the ones that are relevant to you, the ones that you're looking for, and you can see any updates shown in the update section with a number in the brackets. And clicking those will take you into the detail for the fact find. You then have firm administration, which is where we started. That's how to amend your branding. So you can come into here and amend that whenever you need to. And then over on the top right, you have a notification bell, which currently has 36 notifications in because there's a number in that top corner. We can click into that and we can view all of the notifications that are linked to us. And as we complete those notifications, we can click the little delete button next to them to say we have actioned them and clear out that notification list. So you can see as we scroll through, if we go to the bottom, we've got the most recent one, which was for the client we were just working on. So if they had sent us a new message to say they've completed their fact find as requested, we would see a message to say they've sent you a new message. We could click on that to read it. It takes us straight into the message thread there, and we could read the message and respond to them accordingly. Okay, so that is the end of the session today. Thank you for your time. Hopefully you found it useful. If anybody does have questions, please feel free to send them through. If you'd rather ask them on a one-to-one basis, you should have my email address, so send them through to me on email, and I'll hopefully be able to answer most of them. If not, I'll send them through to the IT team. Same goes if you've got development ideas or questions, send your feedback through. I'll get that sent over to the development teams, and we'll get that put into Toolbox as soon as, or into the portal on Toolbox as soon as we can. For the guidance material itself, that's in Training Matters. Again, if anybody needs any help finding that, please let me know. It's within the Toolbox videos and guides section on Training Matters. And there's, I think, 6 documents on there. 2 videos as a bit of an introduction. There'll be a recording of the session today, and there'll be guidance for both yourself as the advisor to use the portal and also for the client. So you can send portal guidance to your client, which will go through setting up the registration, all the 2-factor stuff, scanning the codes and stuff like that, and then how they can get in touch with you via the portal, sending you messages, documents, and how to fill in the fact find. So it's got all of that information covered, and you can send that to them if you want them to have some extra support on that. Obviously, if you prefer, you can just talk them through it. You can help them through using the chat, or you can give them a quick call and just talk them through it live. It's up to you how you want to work it. But as I've said, thank you for your time today. Hopefully you found that useful, and I will speak to you all soon.